I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, August the 6th, brought to you in part by Zactran, the smart choice to treat and control bovine respiratory disease. Visit channel 2005 on nationalbeefwire.com website or visit Zactran.com for more information. What a wild ride we had on Monday morning to start the day out. The board down hard and just unbelievable. The news that we had over the weekend that Trump had struck a deal with the European Union to start taking more beef. And then we got to reading into the details, and there were going to be a lot of restrictions on that. And so we weren't quite as fired up about it. But man, the board just tanked right off the bat. And a lot of all that had to do with China, the trade war that we've got going on with them. Trump last week also put in additional tariffs on them, and they just will not follow through on anything that they say they're going to do. You know, they've been stealing technology from us for years. They continue to manipulate their currency. They just do anything not to follow through on any kind of a arrangement that we've made for them. And when you're talking about a dictatorship like that, what else would you expect? But they've got a lot of people over there to feed, over 3 times as many as we do, and it's how they're going to feed them. That they do not farm efficiently over there. They've got plenty of land to do it, but when nobody has anything of their own, they don't get to enjoy the fruits of their labor. They'd have no pride of ownership. Why would they do anything? And that's kind of where they're at. That they've got a lot of people to feed over there. They've had a lot of problem with protein issues already with their disease in their swine. They're big hog producers over there, but they've lost a significant number of their breeding stock over there. They've got into a tiff with Canada. They're not going to be taking anything from them, and now they're striking back against us, and they're not going to take any ag products from us. Well, that's pretty much all China buys is ag products, is whole products to make something else out of. They don't buy widgets from other people. They make widgets and sell them, but they have to have the core products to make it. But you wonder how they're going to keep getting along if they keep banning everything and choosing not to buy anything from us. You know, they halted purchases of all U.S. ag products and even said that they may put tariffs on recent purchases that they've made from the time they've made that last arrangement up until now, when they're announcing that they're not going to do it. The fact of the matter is, the dictatorship over there doesn't care if their people starve. They don't care if they go into stores and the shelves are bare. They don't care if they keep manipulating their currency until it has no value. They don't care. They don't care about their people. And so it's like trying to fight a drunk man or a crazy man. When you can't hurt them, you're in trouble. And that's kind of where we're at with China there. We can't find anything that really hurts them because they don't care. The ones that are making the decisions around there, they know they're going to have plenty to eat. They know they're going to have everything that they want because they're living off of the labors of the whole rest of the country there. But they're saying that their companies have halted purchases of U.S. ag products. Well, they don't have Wang Fu milling over there that's buying corn or wheat or whatever and making products of it. They don't have Hong Kong Fooey Meat Market that's buying primals from over here and cutting them up over there and selling them. All the businesses are owned by the state. And so, that's kind of funny what I thought whenever I read that they're companies. Well, yeah. That they have no individual ownership over there, so that you don't have to worry about their companies. But they've also devalued their currency to the lowest point against our dollar in over 10 years, and that's all just to try to screw us around on our trade. But tell you what, they're hard to battle against. The heck of it is, we're starting to see some bipartisan help. You'd think that, and it's actually making the media mad. If you notice that, the media is frantically trying to run around and trying to find somebody on the Democratic side that has any substance to them to strike out against what Trump's doing there. But they really feel the same way. The ones that have been there for a while, Chuck Schumer and some of those guys, they've been wanting to get this China deal straightened out for a long time. They know they've got a fight on their hands, and they know it's going to get tough and it's going to get dirty before it gets any better. So that may be the one thing that we see that we have a little bipartisan on, that and the sorrow we feel for all those victims of those crazy shootings over the weekend. But gosh, that stuff's hard to watch. But let's look at the board on Monday. Like I said, very, very volatile. August live cattle futures up 15 cents at 107.80. October ended down 42 cents at 107.40. Feeder cattle was where it was really wild there. Your August feeder cattle was down hard, real hard, and then came all the way back and then closed up 90 cents. And if you look from the highs of the lows on the daily trade, it was over a $7 swing there, or about a $7 swing. At 140.52 is where it finally ended up. September ended up $1.17 at 139.40. A lot of your analysts think that the way that it bounced all the way back up is kind of bodes well for what it could be going into today here, Tuesday, and maybe the rest of the week. Maybe it established some kind of a bottom. But I don't know if you can really count on anything. We're in the age of this computerized trading there, and it's all automated, and that's why the swings are so big. So when that thing gets to running one way or the other, they'll set orders just to keep doing it, keep riding it and riding it and riding it, and then it rode it right back up. But that's a crazy way to do things. We're starting to see that some of our stock brokerages are spending vast amounts of money because all this trading is done automated now by computers. They're spending vast amounts of money to get the fastest computers they can get in there to try to trim just a little bit of a sliver off of a second there, because whenever things get to rolling, it's not just in your CME commodities, it's in New York Stock Exchange, everything. When something gets to rolling one way or the other, they can take advantage of that, and over time it'll pay for itself tenfold probably. Let's look at your fat cattle weighted averages for your 5-area feeding region. Negotiated trade last week on 79,800 head of negotiated sales. That compares to 72,700 head last week. And look at the same week a year ago, 142,100 head. Eventually, your packers are going to need one of those huge weeks. They don't have a whole lot of captive supplies on that little narrow, thin amount that they have to worry about. Of course, they've got their 80% or better that they've had tied up out of the feed yards that they have contracts with. But they're needing to get a significant amount of cattle bought in that portion that they have to negotiate on. And they've pretty much worked through all those cattle. They're kind of hand to mouth. They're short bought again. That's what I'm telling you guys. Short bought again. Dig your heels in. If you know a basis jumper, call him out on it and tell him, hey, stop doing that to us. It's going to be all right. The basis will be even better if you will let us get a little bit more market position. But anyway, last week's trade, live side, was 111 to 117. Okay, now, one thing I saw in there that was kind of a big disparage, and I don't know why it was just last week, but it was big time. Normally it's not like this, but the steers brought significantly more than the heifers. You look at the weighted average on live steers, it was 113.82, which was actually up 14 cents on a down market. Your heifer weighted average live was 112.25, down $1.11. Now there was a significant higher percentage of steers than heifers. Your weighted average for both was actually 113.21, But normally your heifers sell right along with. The heifers will actually quality grade better because they're not as heavily muscled, but the yield on them is not quite as good, and the yield grade is not quite as good. But it really showed up this last week, and maybe they just were after those fancier carcasses that those farmer feeders like to feed, and they typically only like to feed steers. And so that's why it was a big disparage there, but the heifers were way off of the steers. Also on the dress side, your dressed weighted or price range was 180 to 185, and nothing fell outside of that. Your steer weighted average dressed was 184.30, actually up 93 cents because all your dress trade's pretty much up north, and of course they need them and want them worse up there than they do in the southern plains. And the basis jumping and the failure last week did not hurt your dress market much, if at all. Your heifer weighted average dress was 183.16, up just 22 cents. But that was something to take a look at. Nationwide negotiated trade was 97,500 head, and about 15% of those were for the 15 to 30 day delivery. They're working to try to get more of those because they've actually got themselves in a trap here with their pants down. They don't have as many cattle. They're either going to have to start trimming back on their kills significantly, or they're going to have one of those big volume weeks here within the next couple of 3 weeks, and they would love to get that done. I don't know what it would take to get your cattle feeders together to try to take advantage of the shape that they're in, regardless of how volatile the board is and everything. Let's talk about some feeder cattle. Don't forget, on Wednesday here, Montgomery Stockyards, Montgomery, Alabama, is having their annual feeder calf board sale. They've got 60 pot loads of weaned calves out of that country. They all be fresh right there, and a lot of them have a lot of quality to them. If you're going to be bringing those in west here and warming those up for wheat or what have you, I tell you what, those cattle will be ready to go. It would be a lot better health-wise if you would buy off of that board sale and get some pot loads that have been together for a long time. You will be dollars and dollars ahead as far as your expenses trying to put together those cattle that are bought one at a time. But Montgomery Stockyards annual feeder calf board sale on Wednesday, and you can go on to their YouTube site and view those cattle too. But you can get more information on their website, but don't miss that sale if you're in the market for some long time weaned calves. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market on Monday. Real-time index on Cattle Market Central ended the day on Monday 141.69, up just 3 cents. Big sales, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma National Stockyards, 8,400 head. Now you got to remember that they sell the lion's share of those cattle in the morning, and your board was down hard. Nobody could figure out what was going on. Your feeders, $1 to $4 lower, of course, and that was off of that sharply higher market that they had a week ago Monday. $1 to $4 lower, except for 9-weight feeder cattle, and they were $3 higher. So figure that one out. Calves steady to $3 higher. And like I said on a recent visit, they're starting to get more of these best consignments of calves, and a bigger percentage of them are weaned. They're starting to show up. That's one reason your calf demand is getting a lot better. But where it's hot and humid down there in southern Missouri, Joplin Regional Stockyards, 4,700 head there. Their calves were $2 to $5 lower, and their peewee calves weighing under 5, the little bitty lightweights, were $5 to $8 lower. I'll bet that'll take care of itself next week, because that's one of the few places you can go in there and put together a lot of those light calves, and guys will fill that gap next week. But peewees were off quite a bit. But true yearling feeders there steady to $3 lower, and that's kind of what we've been seeing around. Biggest quote, individual quote that I saw on Monday, come out of Russell, Iowa, where they had a lighter run but did have a sale, 1,100 head or so. But they had 62 head of 913 pound steers, bring 144 in Russell. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.